interested for a variety of reasons at the Consumer Protection Agency, and I am not happy with it seemingly to be solved. It seems to be that many of us are very angry about the way things are done, and we're lied to and cheated by and all that stuff. So could you talk about what's happening in Congress?
Nathaniel, you just made it clear why I love the district I represent, because you all, and I know that if I don't have to talk about what I'm doing, you all will raise the issues that I'd love to discuss, one of them being this Consumer Protection Agency that was created as a result of the Wall Street bailout and the banking crisis that was created almost exclusively by the banks. Because essentially what they were doing was they were doing Vegas on it with our money, is what they were doing. And they just got a little greedy. And they kept betting, they kept getting chips when they knew they didn't have the money. But they kept saying, yeah, we'll get some more, we'll get some more. And all of a sudden, some people started saying, whoa, before I give you another set of chips, show me the money. And that's when they couldn't, and that's when it all collapsed. There weren't, I voted against the TARP legislation, which was the bailout. Because, by the way, the TARP money has recouped almost all the money given out to the banks. But let me tell you why I still think it was not the best deal it could have been. There are a whole bunch of Americans who are still losing their homes. And so while the banks have recovered, and you always, the bankers don't lose money. You don't go into the banking industry to lose money. And when your industry is money, it's tough to lose when when your take is off of the money that someone is giving you. And so we knew that the financial industry would recover. It was a matter of when. But we needed them to recover because we all rely on financial institutions. We have no choice but to hope that a bank does well. Because if it doesn't do well, even if it's a greedy bank, even if we don't like them, they're not getting community neighbors, if they go, then you've got to search elsewhere to find the money you need to buy that house. So we need the financial industry to do well. We need them to make their profit. We don't need them to be greedy though, not with our money, especially when they can't pay us back. I really believe that TARP legislation should have guaranteed us a couple of things. One, the payback, which by the way, it's almost all there now. And so it happened. But two, we essentially saved the banks, but we didn't save the people that the banks were trying to help. I think it would have been better to save the people who keep the banks making money. If you had saved the people who helped the banks make money, guess what? The banks would have made money. But you all are still losing homes. We are still losing homes. And there are a whole bunch, I can't tell you how many folks have called my office and said, I am making payments on my mortgage. I am underwater on my mortgage because my home is worth less today than what I owe in my mortgage. But I don't want to give it up because I want to keep my credit rating high, my credit reports high, and I also like where I live. And I know that if I abandon this place, I'm not going to get to buy another home. And so there are folks making these payments who are saying, but I'm hoping that the bank will renegotiate the terms of this loan, which it's no longer reflecting what the market says this house is worth. And so I'll keep it, but can't they adjust some? And so many of these banks keep playing with it. They have them come in, they lose their paperwork, they tell them yes, then they tell them no. Or at the end of the day, they give them something almost worthless. And so one of the things that did come out of TARP, and then the financial reform that followed, was this belief that we had to have a watchdog of the financial industry. And in 2010, almost 2 years ago, we passed this legislation that created a watchdog agency with less teeth than I wanted to see, but nonetheless a watchdog agency. Now there are folks in the Senate who have to confirm the head of the agency who are saying, we will not confirm anyone for that position until we see changes to the law that created this consumer agency. I think it is unconscionable that we have politicians who are shilling for the banks and they get elected by the people. And it is, to me, what makes difficult exercising the privilege you give me, because I see what happens. You know, it goes everywhere, whether it's in your home or in your neighborhood. Folks who have the most influence get the most. Folks who, the squeaky wheel. And my God, they have some squeaky wheels there in the financial industry. And so they're very powerful. And right now there are members in Congress in the U.S. Senate, most all of them Republican, who are willing to say, we will not confirm anyone to be the head of the agency and therefore keep it headless until we get to see some